Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're plugging our nostalgia directly into the mainframe. We are looking at R.C. Howard's wildly entertaining and honestly surprisingly profound memoir, Life Lessons of a Man-Child. We've got a fascinating, kind of mind-blowing thesis to unpack today. What if 1980s pop culture, the movies, those classic 8-bit games, the iconic characters, what if all of that wasn't just mindless entertainment? What if those 80s icons actually shaped life in ways we're only just beginning to understand? Seriously, it's like they offered us a secret survival toolkit for navigating the absolute chaos of adulthood.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Does growing up mean your imagination has to die? Just think about it for a second. We live in this world that can feel like a totally relentless creativity zapping vortex, right? You've got social media algorithms literally programming our thumbs to just doom scroll all day long. Fake news feeds thrive on our fear. And then there's the crushing weight of adult responsibilities, the bills, the endless routines, the 9-to-5 grind, the sudden horrifying realization that your knees actually click when you stand up now. All of that threatens to completely smother our daydreams. We end up trading wonder for worry. But what if there's a way to push back against all that? Well, Howard argues that the answer is basically becoming a man-child. Now hold on, before you roll your eyes. He is very clear that this is absolutely not about Peter Pan syndrome. We're not talking about throwing a massive tantrum when you land on go to jail in Monopoly or completely ignoring your bills. No. Being a man-child is about fiercely protecting your inner child. It's making the conscious choice to embrace youthful wonder, that insane curiosity, and playful innocence right alongside your very real, very serious adult responsibilities. It's all about keeping that creative spark alive when the rest of the world is practically screaming at you to put it out.
The traditional, conventional adult view looks at 80s pop culture, the video games, the toys, and just writes it off as a massive waste of time, just mindless escapism that you are supposed to magically outgrow. But the man-child view completely flips that script. Howard reveals that these 80s icons were actually foundational training for real life. They were empathy simulators. They were resilience builders. They were a vital survival toolkit that taught us exactly how to face down the real-world empires we'd eventually run into.
So, to see exactly how these 80s icons shaped our lives, we're going to navigate this explainer like a retro-level select screen. First up, the status quo. Then, level 1, perception. Level 2, imbalance. Level 3, the ultimate sandbox. And finally, the final boss.
All right, starting off with the status quo, the man-child awakening.
Howard actually anchors this whole awakening of his with this really incredible quote from The Little Prince. It goes, "All grown-ups were once children, although few of them remember it." And Howard, well, he remembers his childhood vividly. He grew up in this cramped, tiny 900-square-foot house with his two brothers. They really didn't have much, and physical space was basically a myth in that house. But you know what? Because of that constraint, his imagination absolutely exploded. That tiny house wasn't just a cramped box to him. It was a fortress, a grand kingdom, literally his very own Castle Grayskull. He learned so early on that reality is just clay, ready to be molded by the mind. But the problem is, as we get older, we totally forget how to mold it.
Moving on to level 1, perception. Seeing past the labels.
Now, what's really interesting here is how Howard uses John Hughes' 1985 absolute classic, The Breakfast Club, to explain adult perception. Think back to when you were a kid watching that movie. You just see these neat, tidy labels, right? The princess, the athlete, the criminal. But as you grow up, your perception shifts, it deepens. You suddenly realize Claire isn't just a snob. She's totally exhausted by these impossible expectations placed on her. Andrew is just paralyzed by this crippling fear of disappointing his dad. And Bender's whole aggressive, tough guy thing, it really just masks a deeply wounded vulnerability. This 80s teen movie was secretly an empathy masterclass. It taught us that labels only confine us if we actually believe them, and that true awareness means looking way beneath the surface of the people around us.
Which brings us to level 2, the threat of imbalance, or fighting off the nothing.
Okay, we have all heard the line from The Shining, right? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Well, Howard points out that this film is pretty much the ultimate cautionary tale about adult imbalance. Think about it. When your routine, your ambition, and your endless responsibilities completely crush your ability to play, you lose your shine. You literally unravel. In fact, Howard notes this brilliant little pun in the film. Jack is quite literally an adult boy, right? He forgot how to be a man-child, and the cost was his sanity. When we lose our ability to dream and just play, we risk becoming as hollow and, frankly, as haunted as the Overlook Hotel itself. But, thankfully, 80s cinema also gave us the ultimate antidote to all that darkness. Enter the never-ending story.
Remember the antagonist in that film? It isn't a person at all, it's the nothing. It's this relentless, terrifying force born entirely from the loss of human creativity, hope, and wonder. And to push back against the nothing in our own actual lives, we have to take action. We have to fiercely protect that inner child. We have to actively use our imagination. And we have to rigorously balance our work and play. Bastian saved Fantasia through pure belief, and Howard argues, very convincingly, that we have to do the exact same thing to save ourselves from the crushing emptiness of modern adult routines.
Let's level up. Level 3, the ultimate sandbox. A Jedi's Guide to Life.
Let's see how this builds across the eras of 8-bit and 16-bit gaming. Because video games back then, they weren't just distractions. They were the ultimate sandbox where pure escapism met real personal empowerment. Just look at the life lessons baked into these games. Back in 1986, The Legend of Zelda taught us that success isn't just about rushing in bravely, it's literally dangerous to go alone, and it is completely okay to accept help. Then jump to 1989, Tetris. Tetris taught us that life's challenges are just going to keep falling, usually right when you need that long straight line piece, right? But if you can just stay composed and clear the clutter, you won't get overwhelmed. And then in 1995, Chrono Trigger proved that the past absolutely doesn't define you. You control your own destiny. These games, they gave a whole generation this amazing, safe space to fail, try again, and build some seriously incredible resilience. And towering above all of this cultural training, the absolute peak was the Star Wars saga. For Howard, Star Wars was a massive beacon of hope and a literal training simulator for life. It taught him that escapism isn't about running away from reality at all. It's a way to go inward and grow stronger so you can actually face reality. I mean, Luke showed us that even a farm boy can take down an entire empire if he just trusts his instincts. Leia taught us that true courage isn't the absence of fear, but looking it right in the eye and facing it head on. Vader proved that redemption is always, always within reach. And the Force itself? It's the ultimate lesson in balancing the light and the dark, the work and the play.
Which leads us to the final boss, unmasking and leveling up.
So here's the twist. We eventually realize that the ultimate final boss isn't actually out there in the world somewhere. It's the defense mechanisms we build inside of ourselves. Because as adults, we learn to wear these masks just to survive, and Howard identifies two major ones that he really struggled with personally. First up, what he calls the Mr. Success mask. This is where he equated his entire self-worth with shiny possessions and, keeping up with the Joneses. And spoiler alert, that only led to debt and a really hollow void inside. Second is the escape artist mask. This is where the very same movies and games that once empowered him got twisted into this unhealthy way to isolate and just hide from real-world pain. The hardest lesson of adulthood, hands down, is realizing that just getting through the day, that isn't the same thing as actually showing up. To achieve real, authentic human connection, we have to take these masks off and show the world our true, completely unfiltered selves.
So, the crucial point is this. Howard leaves us with one incredibly bold call to action. Create. Create before it's too late. When you finally strip away those masks and you protect your inner man-child, you unlock your creative spark. And listen, you don't need anyone's permission to do this, and you certainly do not need perfection. You just need to share your story. Write the poem, build the project, paint the canvas, just do it. Because creativity is the true legacy of the inner child, and you really never know when you are doing something for the very last time.
We're going to end our explainer today with a piece of absolutely timeless wisdom from Doc Brown in Back to the Future. He said, "Your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one." Those 80s icons, they gave us the tools, the resilience, and the empathy to thrive. Now it's entirely up to you to embrace your inner man-child. So I'll leave you with this. Your future hasn't been written yet. What will you make it?